Hello and welcome back to the Macca's Talk Hockey podcast, the podcast where me and my brother Charlie and our good friend Dan talk about English ice hockey, specifically the NHL. And we are back with another team special. It's been over a week, so apologies for that, but we've got our Basingstoke Bison episode. Dan, you were on holiday, so that's kind of why we delayed it a bit. And then we didn't want you missing out on the Basingstoke episode. But did you have a good holiday?
Yeah, it's all good, thank you. All good. Yeah, I'm
Nice
excited for
one.
hockey now.
Yeah, back to hockey mode. And if you haven't watched any of the team specials or don't know what they're about, we basically go through each team in the National League. We've done seven already, six or seven already, so you can go check them out. We basically look back at last season for each team. We then have an interview with a player or a coach. And then we look ahead at this season's roster, our expectations, and our ones to watch each. We have got a special interview with Max Wright, which I did, I think, over a month ago now. Um, but Basingstoke were the last to complete their roster, so we were kind of waiting for that final import to come in. Charlie, you doing all right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a long part talking about Basingstoke last year, so it's gonna
Yeah.
be a long
Well,
episode.
we we normally talk about the team last year, but it was obviously the Bees last year who were playing, not the Bison. The Bison are back, Dan. Did you expect it first of all? I know, having spoke to you before, you thought you may have to start in the National One, but you've come straight into the National League.
Yeah, I think I had thoughts that we'd come back, but like I said, I didn't think that we'd be coming straight back into the national, which obviously I would have supported them anyway, but it would have been nice to be back in the national, which obviously we are now. So yeah, I'm happy that we're going straight back into the national, but it just means it's going to be a lot more of a harder season for us this year, I think.
Yeah, and we'll go through the roster in a bit, but you've signed some pretty good players, and I think you're not just going to have one of them seasons where everyone walks over you. Where in the last I know you got playoffs in that last season, but there are a couple high-scoring games, weren't there? Charlie, the takeover with Steve now. Obviously, he's already owns the Leeds Knights and Swindon Wildcats, but it's a very, very safe kind of ownership and yeah, if there's any man to get Basingstoke back underway in the national, you'd probably want Steve now, wouldn't you?
Well, I think he's very good at establishing a stable, well-run hockey organization, and in a league where, to be honest, clubs can yo-yo around, and you get clubs which are gone like bees, and there's been other clubs in the past, Manchester, etc. It's good to have, and Basingstoke, they were one of them at one
Yeah,
point. Um, it's nice to have them having an owner where we know they've got a good fan base. It's about getting the trust back with the fans, getting them back through the door, and I think Steve has got a good track record of doing that. And so I think it will be an exciting time for Basingstoke and hopefully a stable period as well.
yeah. The big talk, Dan, was he already owns two clubs in the league. This is a third one, but ice hockey just is different, isn't it? It's not like football. And I think off the ice, Basingstoke, Swindon, Leeds, they might do similar stuff because they're owned by the same person, and there's the people who work with them. So but on the ice, it's not going to be like that, is it? There is going to be a rivalry between Basingstoke and Swindon. The players are going to want to beat each other that extra bit, just like back when Basingstoke Swindon days in the EPL, for example, or even the NIHL one. So even though it is the same owner, the players ain't going to be treating it like that, are they?
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be the same as any old hockey game, you know. Like you see these guys there, obviously hanging out off the ice and going to the pub together, drinking after the game. But on the ice, it's just business on the ice. You know, you've got a job to be done. You've got to win the game. You don't want to be taking sort of you don't want to be backing out of anything. You want to be going all in, whatever happens. So yeah, even though we're under the same owner, like you said, on the ice, it's all going to be the same as it was before, and we're still going to get that M4 derby going.
Yeah. Obviously, it was announced that unfortunately the two pre-season games won't be just ready in time to play at home, but I think the club are pretty confident that that first game of the season, which is what matters, will be ready against the Romford Raiders. And I think they've got a little meetup for the Basingstoke fans to actually go and see the rink for themselves, which I think is a really big positive, Dan. if the Bison fans have some worries, they can actually see that there is big progress being made ready for the season to start.
Yeah, I don't think it's the ring that they can see, but definitely be able to see the players and they're meeting up in the
Yeah,
Spruce Goose in Basingstoke. So
and I'm
any
sure there'll be
Basingstoke fans that are
pictures and
listening,
stuff as well.
yeah, they should be able to get hopefully a bit more of an insight of what's going on. But I think a lot of fans sort of knew it wasn't going to be ready, like in the back of their mind. So I think it was smart rescheduling, and Bison have done nothing. They've been really good with obviously the tickets and
Yeah.
obviously putting discounts out there and stuff like that. Obviously the Bristol tickets have just been released at a discounted price as well. So even though it's a bit annoying that we're not going to be at home straight away, I'm excited that hopefully we should get a home opener for the cup game against Romford.
Yeah, the cup and league game. And it's a
Yeah.
big, big game as well. Obviously, the two netminders, import netties going at it. Anything else to add, lads, for this kind of introduction to Basingstoke? Anything else you wanted to say, Dan? Before we head
I
to
think it'll
Max
be
Wright's interview.
I think it'll be interesting. The fact that their first home came back is going to be a league game now. I
Yeah.
actually think that that could be a bit of an advantage. It's going to be a madness that first home
Oh,
game, and so I guess they've kind of got that added into their favor. I think if Romford go and upset that game, fair play Romford because it's going to be a loud welcome back home.
yeah, and I know already that there was a lot of Basingstoke fans all ready to come back, which is great to see, ready to pack out the arena. Dan, you must be absolutely buzzing just to be inside that loud barn because the fact that it's quite small, it's got that roof quite close to the ice, I think just generates even more noise.
Yeah, and I mean having the both sides open again as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be unreal to see fans literally on both sides, seeing the old away block. Yeah, that first game is going to be a lot of nostalgia. I think a lot of good memories in that arena, and yeah, I can't wait to hopefully make a few more.
Yeah, it does mean for the two pre-season games they will be at Swindon.
Oh,
Question:
I know that place very well.
are you gonna stand with us, or are you gonna go a bit closer into the Basingstoke end?
I might dabble here and there. You know what I mean?
Test it on the Friday, and then on the Saturday you can see.
Yeah, depending how that Friday game goes, I might come in all guns blazing. But if we get beat, I might be a little bit quieter.
Yeah. Right, we'll cut to the interview with Max Wright then. As I said, I did it a month ago, so sorry if a couple things are a bit outdated. But we talk a bit about his kind of season last year with the Bees, English hockey, a bit of life as a goalie, basically. So we hope you enjoy that. Hopefully, it's still saved on my laptop somewhere, and we'll come back and talk about next season and the roster they've signed up. Hello and welcome back to our special interview for our Basingstoke Bison Special. I'm delighted to be joined by Max Wright, a familiar face in the National League, but he made the move over to Basingstoke. How you doing, Max?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. We've got about 2 months left of the off season. Have you got an idea of when you're gonna get back to the UK?
I'm thinking late August is
Yeah.
about when the team wants the imports over, so
Okay,
around
nice.
then.
Because I think that first pre-season game is against Swindon, but it's on the Friday night in Basingstoke. How excited are you to be able to play in that first game back? Because I know Bison fans are absolutely frothing to get back watching their team.
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to bring hockey back to Basingstoke. I know a bunch of the guys live there, a bunch of guys on the team, so I'm excited for them as well, and just happy to be a part of it.
Nice one. We'll get to Basingstoke in a little bit. But obviously you came into the league last year. We'll take it back even before that. Obviously you grew up in Canada. What made you want to become a goalie then?
Um, I mean, ever since I was little, I always wanted to play goalie. I think I started when I was
Really?
8 years old or something like that. Um, and I think it was all the goalie equipment, all the colors and things like that that drew me to it. And then once I played it, I was hooked. So it's kind of how it started.
You got to be quite unique to be a goalie, obviously. Did it not phase you at all? Like pucks getting blasted at you at 80, 90 miles an hour?
Um, I mean, it always seemed normal to me. So yeah,
That's
I just kind of from a young age got used to it, I guess.
nice one. I believe you grew up in Waterloo in Canada, is that right?
Yep.
So how cool was that to get to play for kind of the junior system over in Waterloo to kind of start your career?
Yeah, it was a great spot, honestly. I didn't play AAA all the way up. I played some AA,
Oh,
had
nice.
some great years, and yeah, the Waterloo AAA system has become sort of a big thing in Ontario. Made themselves kind of a powerhouse for a few years. So yeah, it was a great spot to be. Very very beneficial. Great teammates, great coaches. So.
Nice one. What's it like then? Because we get a lot of Canadian forwards come on and talk about their kind of route to the U sports and growing up. But what's it like as a goalie? Because you're kind of on your own a bit. I'm sure there's a lot of you have a lot of goalie mates, but you're kind of separate from the rest of the team. So what's that like? The development going through that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of coaching just with the goalies, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, since I was young, you kind of try and find a goalie coach that
Yeah.
you like. There are a few in my area that I went to, tried working with them. You know, you find who you work well with, and usually they have a group of guys that you get to know pretty well and that you train with. Um, and that's sort of how it went for goalies. As I was growing up, you train with either a group for a big camp or you do some you know either individual or like semi-private where you have two goalies and one instructor and a
Yeah.
couple shooters and um, yeah, that's how it went for me growing up and through junior. I was lucky enough to have a couple goalie coaches in junior and
Oh, nice.
um, yeah, it was pretty accessible for me. So I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's really cool. I think you obviously then chose to go to the U Sports. Bit of a rough time in terms of COVID struck kind of that season you were gonna get started, but then you did finally get to play, I think the season after. How was your few years at uni, being able to study and then also just playing some competitive hockey in the U Sports?
Yeah, it was good. My first year was all online, so we didn't get to play any hockey, but um, yeah, because of COVID. But
Yeah.
after that, it was good. It was first time that I was well, technically second time, but first time that I was full time away from home for a few years, and um, yeah, it was a good experience. Learned a lot from coaches and teammates, and um, yeah, got to go to school at the same time, so it was
Yeah.
fun.
Nice one. Well, you completed your few years there, especially in the last season. You got 21 games, which is quite good. Because they only play about, is it 28 kind of games in the U Sports, a 28 game season?
Yeah, yeah, 27, 28. Yeah.
27, 28. So, what was that like being the starter in that season? I don't know how Lake Kid did in that season, but how did you find that kind of final season?
It was good. I kind of had a slow start in the first maybe 5 to 10 games, and we were kind of struggling. And then after that, I made some strides after Christmas and had a really good run where we ended up placing fifth, I think.
Okay.
Um, and then we made playoffs in a good spot. Ended on like a 3 game win streak or something, and then going into playoffs. So um, and then lost in the first round, unfortunately, but sometimes that's how it goes. So,
It's brutal, isn't it? It's not. I don't think it's game series, is it? Isn't it just a head to head?
yeah, you play a series, a 2 out of 3 series.
A two out of three. Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite short.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a different sort of format, but it was a fun season.
Well, you then we'll talk about your move over to the UK because it's a completely different format, I guess, in UK ice hockey. What made you want to come over to the to UK firstly to play some ice hockey professional? Well, it's semi-professional, but as an import, I guess it's kind of professional.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good opportunity that kind of presented itself late in the off season. I was looking for an opportunity that was best for me. And I think coming to the UK, having my grandparents who were born and raised in Scotland, kind
Oh,
of
okay. Yeah, yeah.
kind of influenced my decision a little bit. But also, coming to a country that is similar to Canada in that, you speak the same language, and um, it wouldn't be as much of a change
Yeah.
was also a factor as well. And obviously getting to, be a starter and play a bunch of games for the Bees was awesome as well.
Be honest then, what was you walk into the rink for the first time? What was your reaction of the small ice pad? Have you played on an ice pad like that before?
Yeah, it didn't surprise me too much. I think in Canada we have a variety of sizes, right? Like
Yeah.
some teams will have Olympic size ice, and then others will have NHL size or smaller. So when I played junior B on Listowel, we started the season in a rink that was, I think it was a lot smaller than Slough. So yeah, I wasn't too surprised. It was a nice atmosphere in there for sure.
Yeah, I think the Bees have been well, they're the only team actually to have won the top division in British ice hockey in the National League. And they've got that kind of core set of fans. Obviously, you've had to move from that Bracknell rink. You would have loved to play that Bracknell rink. But how did you find the season as a whole? Because let's just say the Bees had a lot of injuries. There was nights where you'd face 50, 60 shots, and you had to play every single weekend. So what was it like being one of the main guys on that team?
Yeah, it was a really fun time. We had a great group of guys, personality wise. Everyone was really welcoming, and um, I kind of it got tough at times when you're, icing 10 guys on the roster because of injuries and things like that. So try not to feel bad for yourself, but I definitely feel bad or I feel for the guys, having to go out there and, work double as hard to try and even compete in the game. And as far as, shots go, I mean, I can't complain. A lot of shots is good for me. It's good development, and keeps things fun. So yeah, overall a good year for sure.
Have you kind of had a season like that before where you've had to play kind of 50 games in a season, Saturday, Sunday schedule, and because Bees were one of the teams around the bottom of the table, you were getting peppered with a lot of shots?
Um, in terms of amount of games, I played 55 my 1 year in junior B, including
Okay.
playoffs. Um, so amount of games, yeah. In terms of, amount of shots, I played my first year junior B on Cambridge. We um, maybe average 35 to 40 shots against. So I think that's
Okay.
probably the closest. But um, yeah, I don't know if it makes too much of a difference. It's always fun.
What were some of the standout games then? Obviously, I think the big ones for us, just keeping tabs on the score, and you even did it against Swindon a couple of times. Were those big ones against the top teams? Do you really kind of just get in the zone? Those are the games you look for to kind of cause that little upset of the Bees beating the Lightning, and you beat Leeds Knights twice, and you beat Swindon twice as well.
Yeah, I think those are always fun games to play, right? Um, it's going to be a battle every time, and no matter how many shots you get, you just want to keep your team in it
Yeah.
and give them a chance. So um, I was glad I was able to do that in a lot of those games, and yeah, those are some exciting wins for sure.
Were you surprised when you come over to the UK, maybe at the quality of hockey? Because a lot of players from other countries don't really associate England with an ice hockey kind of nation. But were you surprised at the level which was played in the national?
Um, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, so I was, I came in with an open mind, and I was definitely surprised. It's some great hockey. So yeah, I was happy with, coming over to the league and having it be as competitive as it was.
Nice one. If you had to, then this is a little curveball question. Who were some of the players who you thought, okay, I've really got to lock in to face this season? Obviously, you've got so many stars in the National League, but who are some who were like, okay, I'm gonna have to lock in tonight?
Um, I think, at the beginning I didn't know too many guys,
Yeah.
right? Just trying to feel it out. Didn't know what to expect. Um, I don't know if it's so much of individuals that I got to lock in for as you're facing a top team, and
Yeah.
I mean every team has a top guy, right, or a top line or whatever it may be, right? So um, every night is a night to lock in because there's always good players.
Yeah, especially now there's an extra import slot as well. That's another kind of Canadian or European player which comes over. The season ends then. What was kind of your thinking? Were you like, I want to come back again to play in the UK next season as well?
Yeah, I think I told the bees management that I was um, I wanted to stay with them, but if they would give me the chance, I wanted to move up to, uh, the as competitive as a league
Yeah.
of a league as I could, play at the highest level I could. So I kind of explored those options. Obviously, with the bees situation, mothballing,
Yeah.
kind of took that home base away. But Basingstoke came about when things were sort of fizzling out, where I wasn't sure if I was going to get an opportunity that I liked in a higher league. So, um, yeah, it just seemed like the right fit at the right time.
Yeah, obviously Basingstoke knew. I say knew. We've known them, but back in the team and back in the league, sorry, and they got to get a fresh new team. And straight away, quite a few of those bees players went over to Basingstoke. And having spoken to a few of them already, they were giving the coach a bit of a nudge to try and say, okay, we got a goalie who we wouldn't mind playing him. But how did the kind of move come about? When did you first speak to Jeff?
Um, yeah, no, I appreciate all those guys, wanting me back. It's yeah, like I said, some great people from the bees team, and I'm excited to play with them again for sure, and make some new friends as well. I think I spoke to Jeff maybe a couple months ago. I think it was Steve Nell who
Yeah,
reached out to
yeah,
me originally, pretty early on when they didn't have a coach.
yeah.
But then once Jeff was named coach, I think he reached out, and then we went and met at a Tim Hortons, had a coffee together. So
Oh,
that
I
was
can't beat Tim Hortons.
yeah. So that was kind of nice, and yeah, that's it. Kind of just went from there. Kept in contact and made the decision eventually. So yeah.
Nice one. And obviously, Jeff actually coached a bit or did a bit of assistant coaching in the U Sports as well, so he was familiar with that league. Yeah, just obviously you have you heard of the Elite League before as well? Obviously, you said you want to push for the high leagues, but had you heard that
Mhm.
before you even come over to England?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The Elite League, I think, is like the league that people know the most, right? It's
Yeah,
the top league. That's kind of where I was pushing to go for this
yeah.
season. Um, it Things didn't work out, opportunity wise. There wasn't something that really fit for me, but I'm excited to be with the Bison.
Yeah, I think before you come in, actually, before you come to the Bees, there hadn't been a kind of import goalies. We don't really see them come in. So, did you feel a little bit of added pressure knowing that you were taking up an import slot, shall I say?
I To be honest, I didn't really know the significance of it
Yeah,
coming in. When I first got to Slough, I was kind of like, okay, like I know I'm expected to play most of the games,
yeah,
but you really get to find out how the other players want to lean on you, and like they
yeah.
expect you to play at a certain level. And I didn't know that coming in, so it was kind of gradual, which I guess is the best way to find out. There's some added pressure there, but um, yeah, I just try to play my game anyway, so not too much pressure.
Nice one. Were a few of the lads as well, obviously after the season have finished, the news comes out about the Bees, which was gutting. So hopefully they're able to come back at some point, because they're such a big part of English hockey. But with some of the lads kind of pestering you to say, think about coming to the Bison, I'm talking about like Will Stead, your Stuart Mogg, maybe Cathcart as well.
Yeah, after the season ended, there were some, I think, many conversations that we had about it, even before it was announced that the team
Yeah.
was coming back. So, yeah, like I said, I'm excited to play with those guys again, and be in the same area as them because last year we were kind of all over the map driving into Slough, and
Yeah.
now we have a home base. So yeah, it'll be nice to get to spend some more time with the guys.
Obviously, you haven't actually seen the Bison in the league yet. They've come back into the league. They've got such a good fan base, such loyal fans who've been watching for a long time. It's a bit of a different kind of barn to Slough, a lot louder. So, how excited are you to play in front of those new fans? And I'm sure I've actually seen online a lot of the Bees fans as well are going to head over to the Bison rink to watch them every weekend as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've heard a lot of the guys talking about, the wall of sound or something. Is that what they
Yeah,
call
it's
it?
just echoes all around.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that, and hopefully the Bees fans feel like they can come down and be a part of it as well, and I think that'll create even more of a great atmosphere. So I'm excited for it.
Nice one. I always ask this to the goalies we get on. Um, do you have to kind of adapt your game slightly to the different rinks you play in? So Milton Keynes is a very big rink. You might get a lot of shots. I don't know how to describe it. In Bees, it's a very small neutral zone, so you'll get in maybe a lot more shot load. Do you kind of get what I mean? Do you have to prepare differently for each game?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily anything different other than, if it's an Olympic size rink, it's a bit wider. So um, you gotta, play your angles slightly different.
Yeah.
Just when guys are coming wide down the boards and things like that. Some decisions in terms of, how far you're gonna come out, because there's a lot more room for passes and things on bigger ice, right? So
Yeah.
um, yeah, just some, depth management decisions and things like that. But typically just play the same game.
Yeah. And when you're in the game, do you kind of I'm trying to put my mind in kind of like a goalie's point of view because as I mentioned earlier, you're kind of separate from the rest of the team. You just got to do your job. Do you just zone out and not even think about the stuff which is around you and just kind of I don't know. I've never been in that situation kind of thing.
Yeah, it's different for sure because a lot of fans want to try and get at you, and
Oh yeah.
you're the last line of defense. So um, but for me, it's more of just trying to relax and
Yeah.
um, during play, pretty focused on you know trying to get immersed in everything that's going on hockey wise, everything that I can control, and then when there's stoppages of play, of course you can take it in. It's hockey, it's fun, right? So you want to take in the whole atmosphere, especially when there's a whole bunch of fans there, right? It's a
Yeah.
cool experience.
Um, in the off season, you're still doing quite a lot of work, obviously back home. It's a lot easier to get out on an ice rink and do a bit of training. For the people who don't know, what kind of stuff do you do for your Instagram and then a couple videos as well to kind of help other people who do goaltending?
Yeah, so I have my own like Instagram page, goalie training company, I guess. Um, it's called Max Goaltending, and I just anyone who wants to work with me, we get out usually on a small ice pad here in Waterloo, and yeah, it's either private sessions, so I work with goalies one on one, or me and two other goalies. We get shooters, and um, yeah, it's a good time. Just a lot of technical things, but we love to play some games too. So um, yeah, it's fun getting to meet a whole bunch of different people and um, just try and pass on some of the experience I have and also learn from the people I'm teaching too. So yeah.
Nice one. We think that's really cool that you're able that you still putting a lot of time into kind of your work as a goalie because you're still what 26 years old. What would you say the kind of prime is like the 27 maybe 28? It's a bit older as a goalie, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if you can put a number on it. Like there's a number of guys, in other pro leagues and in the NHL that are, 30 to
I know, yeah.
35 that are,
You look at
starting guys.
you look at Bobrovsky, like he's he's playing better than he ever has at that age. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think your prime can be anywhere from, you know, 20 to 35. I don't know.
What's obviously you're only 26 and you said you'd love to push up the leagues, but kind of what's your expectations coming into Basingstoke because they've already put together some really good players. Sorry, a good team of players. You've got Spadafora coming in who looks like a really good little sniper who scored quite a few goals. You've got Henry as well. Have you played against quite a few of the guys who's in the National League? 'Cause we get a lot coming from the U Sports.
Um, yeah, I think this coming year I'll have played against more of the imports
Yeah.
than last season. Um, I think I just missed a few of the U Sports guys who were in the league last season.
We
Um,
had Gale and Colby at one point. I'm not sure if you played against them, but they were a duo. I
yeah, I've heard a
probably
lot
would have
about
played
them.
against them. Yeah.
I haven't played against them, but I've heard a
Have
lot
you
about
not?
them from. No, I haven't. No. But I think a lot of the incoming guys from U Sports,
Yeah.
like Zach Shankar on our
Yeah.
team. I played against him. He was at Toronto Metropolitan University when I was at Lakehead. So
Okay, that's
um,
good.
yeah, and I think we met at OHL camp as well. So
Okay.
um, yeah, yeah. So some new connections and some guys on other teams that I played against, like Telford signed Brown, who played on Laurier.
Oh,
So
Patrick. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
like the
yeah,
look of him.
yeah, yeah. He's a good player as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see some familiar faces.
Nice one. We always kind of end with this message. Do you have like a message to the Bison fan? Actually, we'll start with the Bees. Do you have a message to the Bees fans who kind of supported you last year? We're chanting your name as well.
Yeah, I appreciate their support so much. I I wish we could have continued the team, but due to the circumstances, I think it's probably a good thing that they're stepping back and
Yeah.
they'll come back stronger and hopefully everyone will continue supporting and yeah, I just appreciate how welcoming everyone was and supportive. I met some great people and um, yeah, it made my first year abroad that much more special. So I appreciate everyone.
Nice one. And as we said earlier, I'm sure a lot of them will be going to the Bison games. But for the new Bison fans who are maybe coming back after a couple of years, do you have a little message for them as well?
Yeah, I'm excited to get started. I don't have any expectations, but you know, the plan is to win games, and we've got a really solid squad to
Yeah.
to do that with. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope everyone will come out and support, and we're going to do our best to compete for some silverware. And um, yeah, it's the first year, but it doesn't have to be you know uh, a poor one. We can still
Oh
put
yeah.
in a good performance. So I'm
It's the
excited.
it's the Bison way, man. You're gonna absolutely love it. It gets really loud in that ring. Not that it will affect you anyways, but I think it will be nice that they're on your side and not against you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've there's a lot of loud crowds that have been against me in the past seasons. So um, yeah, hopefully we can bring that to Basingstoke.
Nice one, thanks, Max. And we'll see you over in I think it's late August or early September that first preseason game.
Early September, I think, is when
Early
the games start.
September. Nice one. We'll
Yeah,
see you then. And have a good rest of your off season.
thanks very much. Appreciate you having me.
Hello and welcome back. We've got a lot of players to go through because it is a brand new roster, four new imports, a lot of familiar faces, but we're still going to go through them. And we'll start with the goalies. And we just interviewed him, so we'll touch over him quite quickly. But Max Wright, no brainer, Dan. Had a really good season with the Bees, despite a tough season for the Bees. He was probably the standout player. He was second in save percentage behind Sam Gospel. So it's a great start to that defensive core, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you've got a goalie like Max Wright on your doorstep, obviously, unfortunately, bees aren't going to be in the league. But when you've got a goalie that's a free agent, really, right there, right with obviously the players that were coming over as well, it
Right
would have
there.
probably been quite easy to persuade him to come over. But yeah, if you want to start off your decor right, you've got to go with a good goalie. And Max Wright is a guy that can save you games every night, night in, night out, away, home, anytime. And yeah, he's going to come up really big in this season, I think.
Yeah, he's 26. I know he's got high aspirations for kind of his career as well. So he's going to be massive for the Bison in there. And to back him up, they've got Will Bray, who's been playing in the Elite League the last couple seasons with Coventry, or last few seasons. But he's been kind of the backup. He's played a few games here and there. So he's going to get a bit more ice time, I think, Charlie, with the Bison. We might see him in a few games when Max Wright needs a rest. So, yeah, good opportunity for him.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect from Will Bray.
No, I don't either.
He hasn't really played in the last 3 seasons for Coventry. So it's a backup. He's young. He's gonna, well, I can imagine he's gonna want to play a couple games, and yeah, it'd be interesting. I think Max Wright is obviously the starter. He's gonna take up a big chunk of games, but you could see Will Bray getting chucked in there, and we'll see what he's capable of when he gets on the ice.
Yeah. On to the decor then. And we'll start with the big man, Zach Shankar. Their first, I think it was their first import signing you announced.
Yeah.
28-year-old defenseman. And he has played in the U Sports for 4 years for the Toronto Metro Uni. He then went to France, where he played in the France 2 for a bit, and then the France 3 last year, being one of the main guys. He looks like a big defenseman, Dan, who's going to be able to score points, get assists, go on the power play, on the PK, but he's also going to be able to do that defensive work. As we mentioned, he's 6'1", heavy D man who has some scars on his face as well. So, yeah, I think he's going to be massive taking on that number one D man role for Basingstoke.
Yeah, it's what we needed. We needed a guy that can obviously I actually interviewed him as well for the
Yeah.
Bison podcast. So talking to him a bit about how he
Oh,
plays
yeah,
and
that's
he
just
said
been released, actually. Yeah.
yeah, so he said he likes to play that physical game. He likes to catch people's center ice and he sounds like a perfect sort of Bison D man there. And
Yeah.
I think if we can get him obviously to his full potential with points and getting him fully on his like defensive structure as well, he's going to be that leader in that decor. And I think having a guy like that is will come on to a bit more. But the younger guys are going to be able to look up to a guy like that and really sort of try and base their game around Zach Shankar and sort of what he's learned from all the leagues that he's played in around obviously Canada and France.
Yeah. We'll go on to two familiar faces then to Bison. Well, there's three, but we'll start with Cathcart and Baird. Those are going to be kind of your third pair shutdown defensemen. Cathcart had a really good year with the Bees last year, kind of broke, I think, established himself as a National League defenseman, worked hard for the badge, and we were chatting, Charlie, about kind of physical D-men in the league, and you can put his name in that category. He might not be one of the tallest, but he'll throw his body around. He's physical, and I think he's just gonna, again, like Dan said, going to fit that Basingstoke kind of ethos.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's still very young. You forget his age. He protects your keeper. He clears guys out from the front of the net. He's not going to bag you loads of points. He got his goal on the last game of the season last year, but you don't want him to do that. His role is purely just to work hard, move people out the front of the net, get minimize grade A chances, and I think it's a good sign. And I think he'll be very excited to play for Basingstoke. No diss on Bees fans, but I do think Basingstoke are going to be louder. They're going to be there in your face, and I think Cathcart's the type of guy who will really enjoy playing in front of that big crowd, that big environment, and he's got real opportunity here to establish a long career in Basingstoke.
Yeah. And then Brendan Bear, Dan, his last season in Basingstoke did get 102 pims. Did actually get 23 points, but I think his role is going to be a bit different this season with the level going up since then. But he's going to have to cut out the pims a little bit, isn't he?
Yeah, he can be a bit of a loose cannon sometimes. I think it just runs in the Baird family.
Yeah.
Cathcart's also part of that family as well. So so hopefully they can all sort of calm down a little bit. But yeah, Baird's a guy that if you look at his stats, he does pick up a few points every season. Like you don't really think
Yeah.
about it, but he does have a
Got
few
good
like
first pass.
Yeah, it's so he gets the puck out of the zone. I think for Baird, the worry is he's played a year down in National One. Other players have sort of stayed in the National League, but he's obviously taken a step down. It's going to be interesting to see how he sort of comes back up to a very competitive National League, a lot more competitive to when he was last in it. But like we said, Basingstoke is a team that these guys have watched. They've watched play when they were kids. Cathcart is the same. He's got that. He's wanted to be a Bison for his whole life, and he's finally got the opportunity. And the same with Baird. And I think for this new sort of era, I think both of these players are going to be buzzing to sort of play in the Bison jersey and really give it their all. And I think that's going to be sort of the main ethos that Basingstoke are trying to bring this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think those two you're looking at probably the third pair kind of shut down guys. On to two D men who are probably going to be on those top two defenseman lines, and that is Stuart Mogg, familiar face, coming back to the Bison. I think we interviewed him, Dan, on the Basingstoke
Yeah, the first
ahead.
one or second one, I think.
Yes, and he was a really nice guy. And he's going to bring a lot of experience to those younger defensemen who they've joined, who we'll talk about in a second. And then Thomas Ralph, Charlie, who I want to talk about, come from Romford. Still, he's been around in the league for ages, but he's still, what, 27 years old? And he was, for me, Romford's best defenseman. And he's not going to have kind of that main role, not main role, but he's not going to be playing 30 minutes a night kind of thing and getting relied upon too much because you've got Mogg and Zach Shankar. So I think it will be shared around equally. I think you'll get a better Thomas Ralph.
Yeah, I think it's a signing which maybe I didn't expect for Basingstoke to start off with. I don't think he's played his career there, or when he did, it was a long time ago.
No, he played bees,
Yeah,
so
he
With
played
these,
these,
yeah.
yeah.
I think he had some good years in Romford. I think last year was a difficult year for him. I think it wasn't quite his best year, especially in the offense side. But I think it's a great signing. I think he adds that defenseman they needed. They've got three guys there in Shankar, Mogg, and Ralph, who you can really rely on in all scenarios. You can put out against whoever, and you can trust. And yeah, I just think it's a very, very good signing. He'll play in their top four. He's not too old either, so he's got a good couple years in him. And yeah, quite an underrated signing again. It got announced very early on. And I think this one's very top.
yeah. And kind of that second pair spot is open, Dan, for someone to fill. And you've got Marcus Bradley and Stanley Johnson coming in. We'll start with Stanley Johnson, who's got a bit more experience, and has played across the border, if you want to call it that. He played in the USPHL, which we've seen a lot of these younger guys playing. And he got 8 points in 21 games. Spent the last 3 seasons in America. Again, tall defenseman, 5'11". Well, I say tall. He's, for his age, he's quite tall, 5'11". I think he's going to be that steady defenseman, Dan, who I don't really want to put any expectation on him, but I don't really know what to expect. But he's been out, and I can imagine he's a pretty good skater as well.
Yeah, just from talking to people, I've heard he's quite a big guy. Like he's got quite a big body, and he carries the puck really well. He's got that good first pass, but he needs to sort of work on releasing the puck a bit quicker. So hopefully over sort of the season, he can sort of learn from other players around him. Being in that men's league, he can learn the style of play to sort of elevate his game. So yeah, he's another guy that's sort of really young, and he's got a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of things to grow into.
Yeah, I think it will be an interesting battle because you've then got 17-year-old Marcus Bradley coming in, who's also played out in America. Sorry, not America, Canada, like his brother Ed, 6'1" at just 17 years old. I think he's going to be exciting, Charlie, because we've seen what Ed Bradley's like, and I actually asked Ed about him, and he said that he is a little bit different. He's more of a defensive kind of shutdown guy who's not afraid to use his body, and I think that is kind of what Basingstoke need. They've got defensemen in Mogg and Shankar who's going to be able to get some points. He's just going to have to focus on shutting it down, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think
Just
it's
developing.
I think it's quite a nice role for him. He's only young. He's getting put in the deep end, going straight to national at like 18. And I think with seven defensemen, you can rotate in.
Yeah.
If he's not having as good of a night, you can maybe play Stanley Johnson a lot more and stuff. If he's maybe having a really good game, you can give him that extra ice time. And I think if the coach manages it well, I think the seven defenseman could be a big benefit for Basingstoke. And he's got opportunities to climb up the lineup. And yeah, I think him and Stanley Johnson is that kind of them adding into that the two players who maybe a bit more of an uncertain. You're not
Yeah.
quite sure what you're going to get from them. I think it's a great little battle. I think there's going to be internal battles, and I think yeah, we'll see. It's a big question mark with a lot of this Basingstoke team, but I like the signing, and again, he's a Basingstoke academy player, and he knows the club. He knows how important and meaningful it is, and I think give him 2 3 years, and he could be really established in this Basingstoke roster.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because he is under 18. I think he's allowed to go on as a seventh defenseman. He doesn't have to be scratched from the game because he's under 18. I think that's one of the rules. So he'll be able to run seven defensemen every night and choose who's playing the best, I guess. Onto the forward core then. And we'll start with the two new imports. And we did think with oh, I've forgotten his name. Jeff Flanagan coming in, sorry, who we'll talk about in a bit. With him coming in, I think obviously coaching over in Canada, he might have some pretty good contacts. And Luke Spadafora comes in, 24 years old, 6'2", just come out of U Sports. So he's going to be hungry to impress. And he played on the worst team in the league, Dan. And in his final season, he got 19 points, including 11 goals. And he was one of the star men of his team. I think the top goal scorer of his team. So exciting to come in, 24 years old, into a younger team. Yeah, it could be a really fun season for him.
Yeah, I think it's sort of. I also interviewed him, but that's not out yet. So we won't talk about it too much. But he said that he sort of needed a change. He was sort of ready to move. He needed a change of scenery for his career, and sort of when the opportunity came out to Basingstoke, he sort of took it straight away. And he said he's a big confidence guy as well. So I'm really hoping that he can sort of get over and really start off the season hot and sort of carry it through, because I think this is a guy that if he can start off hot and really sort of find the back of the net quickly, I think he could definitely be a potential top point scorer in this team and
Mm.
sort of really try and carry the offense, because he's got the attributes there that sort of make him a really good player in the National League. He's very fast, he's got a really good first shot, and he's got a really quick release. And I think that's exactly what sort of the imports in this league that do well have got. And he's going to come into this team with no expectations on his back really, so he can sort of come in, just play his game, and hopefully just be a very very good goal scorer for Basingstoke.
Yeah, I think the two imports have got quite a big opportunity, being the two main guys with quite a new team. And you got another 24-year-old Charlie and Brendan Sellen who comes in, 5'10", 24, and he played with the Airy Otters, Conor McDavid's team when he was younger. He didn't actually play with McDavid, but he was the captain of the Airy Otters in the OHL for his final season, got 20 goals, 20 assists, went to the University of Acadia, if I've said that right, and did 3 seasons there, 16 points, 10 points. Looks like a steady two-way player who's going to lead by example at only the age of 20 years old, 24 years old, Charlie.
Again, I like all four imports Basingstoke have signed. I really do. I think they're four good import signings. I think his OHL stats are really good. And I think he had maybe some would say, wow, statistically a slightly worse year in his last season in the U Sports, getting only 10 points. But statistically, when you've got guys who get 16 points in the U Sports come to our league, they come to our league and get 70, 80 points. And they have consistently done that. And I think one of the things which we'll notice at Basingstoke is the imports are going to be relied on for points. And because they're going to be relied on for points, I think they'll get them. Because they are playing in a role where they're going to get the top PP minutes, they're going to get the top minutes, they're going to be out in the big scenarios. And I think both imports look really good, and I think both imports, especially as you've only gone for two import forwards in a four import league, I think really do have to take a big, heavy point scoring load, and both of them need to take up that kind of 80-point mark. And I think they both will. I think they're both not massive blokes, but not small blokes. And I think they're both going to have a lot of skill to the game. And yeah, I think using his U Sports contacts, he's managed to grab all four U Sports players, Jeff Flanagan, so he clearly likes the league. So yeah, I like the signings. I think they've got a very good four import trio, and I think that's what you have to build on.
Sorry, what did you just
Trio,
say?
very
Four
good
and
four
Four
four.
import
import trio.
quadruple. I don't know what you'd say.
Quad.
But yeah, I think they've managed to build their imports very nicely, and I think that's what you have to do when you're a team which is gonna be at the lower end of the table.
Yeah, I think for a first season, getting those imports in, I think it's very exciting, and I think it's exciting that they're just 24 years old and they're going to be hungry to try and be the best, I guess, in the team in the league. Dan, would you play them on separate lines? I think probably.
Yeah, I think just to get that sort of get it equal in the top six and
Yeah.
give that sort of top six the best chance to compete with other top sixes, I think, yeah, just split them up and you're relying a bit more on the Brits then.
They can run a line each. Right, on to the Brits, and we'll start with the familiar faces. You got your likes of Liam Morris. You've got Roman Cathcart on a two-way. Erskine from the Bees, Hemmings, Mayer, Norcliffe, Wilson, Stead. We'll quickly go into Milton first. Exciting that he's coming back to Basingstoke, Dan. He had a really good season before he went up to the Elite League. Sorry, yeah, he did have a good season with Raiders, but his last season with the Bison was really good as well. And I think it'll be a good little refresher for him to come back to the national. And I know Charlie said this when we talked about the signing. I respect him for really sticking out a full season in the Elite League. Yes, he might not have had. He got one goal, I think, on the last weekend, but we know the type of player Milton is. He was determined to finish that season in the Elite League. He's come down, and he can be the main guy again in this Bison team.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, I'm very, very glad that he decided to come back as well. Sort of, if you do get that spot in the Elite League and like he did stick it out, obviously I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got offered another contract or if he didn't, but fair play to him for coming back to Basingstoke after sort of uncertainty, you could say. It's sort of it's a big risk jumping back to Basingstoke. But I think he's a guy that he saw his opportunity there in Basingstoke to be that top Brit again, and I think he's ready to take on that role. Talking to him, he's excited. He likes to have that sort of bit of pressure behind him to perform. He likes to be able to go out there and know that he's the guy that everyone's sort of looking at to provide points. And he said he works really well with imports as well. Every time he's played in Basingstoke, he's been on that line with an import. Obviously, he's with Roberts, he was with Gale. So I wouldn't be surprised if again we saw him paired up with one of the imports and hopefully get that good partnership going. But he's a guy, he's a very young, clever player. He's a Brit as well. And he's a guy that can elevate a line to that next level just with his playmaking and his hockey IQ that he's got in the corners. So I'm
Yeah.
so glad to have Milton back in the team, and I'm excited to see what he might have learned playing in that full season in the Elite League.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. And again, he's probably what you'd say your main point scoring British forward. So he's got a big load to carry this season. Charlie, two centres then. I know Harding played defence last year, but two possible centres coming into the team in Harding and Norcliffe. Norcliffe, I think, was a no-brainer that he'd come back to Bison. And I don't think they've announced the captain yet, have they, Dan?
No, they haven't.
No, so we don't know who it is, but
I reckon they'll wait until after pre-season until
yeah,
they announce
he's
that.
definitely in contention. Norcliffe,
Oh yeah,
obviously was
100%.
the captain before, in their last season. But Norcliffe and Harding, Charlie, they come into the team. I guess another fresh start for them. And yeah,
Yeah.
surrounded by familiar faces. So I think that those are two no-brainer signings for Basingstoke.
Yeah, Norcliffe, he's going to have a big role in that top six. Hardin could be on the third line, but I think both of them have a lot of potential at the National League to score a high level amount of points, and I think that's what Basingstoke are going to be wanting is get the best out of them. Let's see a good version of Norcliffe. He was a point a game at Basingstoke in that last year, and he was very dangerous. And then Hardin, he was at his best at Basingstoke as well. So they're going to be looking to get that top form Basingstoke quality back again. And I think they know what the club means. They know they love the club, and I think that just adds into the Basingstoke ethos of this year.
Yeah. Another guy who probably loves Basingstoke just as much as Morris. And Dan, I think he's finally going to be able to go back to forward full time. And I could see him maybe jumping on that top six or being that third line, just speed, um, winding up Rat, which we know he is. And he will have to cut out some penalty minutes, especially because I'm sure Basingstoke will want to be competing, especially for that playoff spot, maybe a trophy. You never know with the first 10 games of the cup, but he's going to be big for that third line forward. And I think with 7D men, he's kind of secured that forward spot.
Yeah, even though I've watched him play a lot, I still get really excited watching Morris play, and I'm more excited now that he's going to be that full-time forward because we've never sort of seen it properly. When he first came into Basingstoke, his first game, he actually scored on his debut. A typical Morris goal, just cutting in, driving the net, and just sort of pushing it past the goalie. It's the exact play that I want Morris to be playing this year. I want him to be that guy that he's just going to be just go all in at the goalie. He's going to be able to cut into D-men. He's just going to be able to be that little rat and that nuisance around the goal. And if anyone's watching remembers Alan Lack, I want Morris to be that Alan Lack style player that's just going to leave his stick in last. He don't care if he gets jumped after the play. He's just going to be that annoying guy that the D-men aren't. He might not be the most skilled guy, but when the D-men see him coming at him, they're going to be like, oh God, not this guy again. You know what he's going to do. So I really hope Morris sort of brings in that game and sort of he scores those goals that are just little ratty goals because I think that's the perfect style that Morris should be playing this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a big season for him, actually, points wise as well. Opportunity. Alan Wilson comes back. Had a tough
No
year
way. Didn't see that
last year
coming.
with injuries. He's probably a dead cert to come back, but had a tough year with injuries last year. Picked up a few points. Should be fit and ready to go this season. Erskine, he signs for Bison. Probably going to be a third, fourth line guy. Did get a few points with the Bees last year. And then one which excites you, Charlie. Actually, quickly, Will Stead. We have had him on the pod a couple times, but he comes in. That's actually a big signing for Basingstoke because I think they need a couple Brits who know how to put the puck in the back of the net, and Wilstead proved that last season. And he's going to be big for them. I think he's probably going to have an even bigger role at Basingstoke than possibly Bees.
Yeah, I think he definitely could. We had him on the podcast. He's a really nice guy, and he's literally bees through and through, which I know Dan may not love me saying that. He's literally Bracknell Academy, then just bees, 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 bees. So this is like the first time he's taken a step out of bees. So it's
Yeah.
like a big step for him, and he's had two really good years in the National League, I think, which is fair to say. He had 1 year where he got a point a game of 54 points. And then last year, suddenly he became this absolute sniper, which he's never really been in his career, where he got 26 goals.
You
But
say snipes, a lot of them are in front of the goal
yeah, like just he
though.
became a bagsman. But I think his role for Basingstoke is similar what it was for Bees. He may or may not get on the power play, but his role is to be in them areas, get the puck. I think he works really well with an import. One of the two imports, I'm sure, will be there, where he'll just drive the net and he'll be in that slot zone and he'll get the jammy rebounds and stuff like that. And I think the thing I'd say about this Basingstoke team from looking at it from the outside is I'd say hard work. I'd say I don't really see any players on that team who are lazy, any players on that team who won't take their slack. They're the type of guys who they will chase the puck for 60 minutes. And it sounds silly, but I think they just do have that dog in them and that work rate in them. And yeah, I think Wilstead is probably the definition of that. He just works, 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 works. And I think it'd be good for him at Basingstoke because I think he'll play less minutes than he did at Bees. And I
Yeah.
think at times he probably was overplayed at Bees. And I think he'll probably play on the second line with an import and another Brit. And I think that'll be really good for him.
Yeah. Someone else who we could see possibly go in the top six is Alex Samford. Obviously he's been in and out the Bison team the last kind of few seasons. Had a season where he didn't play, then come back. He played with the Buffalo in that final season. Oh well, the season after Bison went. And with Alex Samford, Dan, his best season was the 1920 season, the first season back from the National. He got 22 goals. I remember he was probably one of your best players in terms of goal scoring. You give him the puck, he's a very good shooter of the puck. I think this season could be a big opportunity for him if he can play the majority of the season, sticking with a couple good players who's going to feed him. You're looking at probably another 20 goal season possibly because the opportunities are there.
Yeah, I think with work commitments and stuff a few seasons ago, he's not been able to fully commit. I'm hoping, I think he's able to fully commit this year, which is why he's sort of come forward. And
Yeah.
obviously they've seen him out there on the ice and they've decided to take that like risk on him, you could say. But again, this is a guy that, you like you said, he's got the potential to be a guy that can put the puck in the net because he is a goal scorer. He can do that. But hopefully, with the full season's training, a full sort of full season of games, getting into the swing of it, not sort of in and out the lineup, losing a bit of momentum, he can really sort of build on the seasons that he had a few seasons ago and really get that Sanford back that we all know in Basingstoke.
Yeah, it's an exciting. A lot of players have got points to prove this season. With Basingstoke, obviously their first season back. Charlie, someone who you've been excited to see join back is Hemmings Mayer. He is on a two-way with Slough, and we know how dominant Slough are. He might get the odd opportunities with Basingstoke this season. Did play 18 games for Bees, but yeah, you're excited by him and think that he could be a nice little addition in some of the home games this season.
Yeah, I think he should be full time Basingstoke. I think he's good enough. I think he'd get the minutes at Basingstoke. And I think Jeff will watch him for a couple games, whether that's pre-season or the games he comes in, and Jeff will want him full time. I really like Ollie Hemmings, man. He's only 19. I thought he was good for Basingstoke in the season they went, and that was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He had a decent spells for Bees last year. He got a point every 3 games, and I just think he works his arse off. He chases down every puck. I think his physicality is growing. I think he's got a good IQ, and I think he would be a real asset for Basingstoke. If he was full time, he'd be my ones to watch. But he's not full time, and I can't confirm how many games he's going to play. But yeah, Ollie Hemmings-Mayer, whether it's this year or next year, he will break into the National League and he will make a name for himself. Because yeah, I really highly rate Ollie. I think
Yeah.
he's top talent.
The thing is, though, players love sticking around with Slough, and I can see why because they are so successful. But at some point, they probably do need to take that step to the national. But as you said, he's still 19 years old. I think that completes the core. I didn't want to leave anyone out, but I think I've gone through everyone. And yeah, an exciting little team to come back, and we'll get on to our expectations then. And I think what did we before all these signings were made, Dan? We were speaking at the Coventry weekend. You just want a team which is going to come into the league, is going to play that Basingstoke kind of way, giving everything on the ice, and there's a lot of young players. Want to see some development from the likes of Stanley Johnson, Marcus Bradley, as Charlie said, Hemmings Mayer, and the two imports as well, 24 years old. So I just think it's an exciting season. I don't really know what to expect. You've got the new coach with Jeff Flanagan as well, so we don't really know what to expect with him as well because he hasn't probably had a full time head coach role in the national. So yeah, what are you kind of expecting from the season, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not putting any expectation on the team. Um, I would like to see playoffs. Um, I would like to see us get in a playoff spot. I think I don't think that's sort of an outrageous prediction. I would like to see it from this team, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's a lot of these players there that are going to be getting a big feel for the team. They're going to be able to grow in the team again. Hopefully, the old Basingstoke boys can sort of grow into the team that's hopefully going to be around a lot longer than they had before in their last spell. You've got a lot of guys here that could score big points in this league. You just don't really know how they're going to start the year off. You've got a coach there that's got a whole new team in front of him. Some of these players have obviously played with each other, but the coach is totally brand new to this. He doesn't know any of the guys. He's probably never seen any of them play. He's only probably seen clips. So that's going to be a bit of getting used to as well. So I think it's all going to be it's all going to be new to everyone. I think the first half of the season, you're really going to see a lot of teething problems. I think you're going to see a lot of changing and sort of in the lineup and sort of a lot of moving around until they finally find the thing that works. But I think that's the whole point of it. I think that's expected from this team, and it's very much a season to grow off, I think.
Yeah, I think Charlie, from an outside point of view, do you think they could possibly make the playoffs this year in their first year? We know how hard it is coming back into league. Bristol and Solway haven't managed to do it
I
since
think the
they've come in there.
expectations have to be to get
Oh,
playoffs.
I was
What?
speaking, you just interrupted me.
Um,
Go on,
yeah,
go on then.
I think they have to be playoffs. I think they've got four good imports. They have one of, if not the best goalie in the league from last season. You've added a Zach Milton quality Brit to this team. You have two top Brit D in this league, especially Mog, and then Adam Ralph as well, who's a very good second pair D. Then you've added in the likes of Norcliffe, Morris, Harding, Samford, Wilson, all of these guys who are established National League players. I think the expectation in the dressing room, I obviously don't know what's going on in the dressing room, but I think the expectation in the dressing room will be to get playoffs. But you just don't know what can happen over the full season as a new club. But I don't think this is like the Hull and the Bristol situation and the Solway. All of these guys, a lot of these guys have played with each other before. They know what it takes in the National League. It's not like Solway and Bristol mainly, where it's a lot of National One players or players coming in from America stepping up, and then the Hull situation where they didn't have any imports for half a season. So I think there is expectation. I think they have to be in that mix. I think they should get playoffs, but I think they have to be in that mix. I don't think they can. I don't think they should finish bottom. I think they should be a team which is competing for that playoff spot.
Yeah, I think Max Wright has got a better team in front of him. No disrespect to the Bees, but I think the team Basingstoke have signed up is better than the Bees team last season. And as Charlie said, the imports, Jeff's done really well. Just touching quickly on Jeff, obviously he's had a few assistant roles, had a few coaching roles in Japan and Canada, and assistants coaching in the U Sports. Dan, bit like, I don't know, what are you expecting from him? We don't really know what style of play he's looking for, but judging from the roster he's signed up, you've got some big players, some heavy players, players who are going to rough it up a little bit and just make it hard to play against. I don't know if you're going to be dominating games, but you've got Max Wright who can take 30, 40 shots a night, and you've got players who can produce those little bits of individual talent.
I think what we're going to see from Jeff is obviously primarily he's been coaching in the youth sports. He knows the importance of that two-way hockey and sort of playing both ends of the ice. I think what we've noticed in all these players that he signed, especially the imports, speaking to Spadafora, he said it as well. They all take pride in defending and they take pride in sort of creating offense from defense and sort of being able to keep the puck at their own net to build and score in the other net. So I think what we're going to see from Jeff is a very solid defensive game as well as a very sort of physical offensive game. Maybe a team that's going to be hard to play in the corners. They're going to be able to come out with the puck a lot. But I think the biggest thing that Jeff's going to be able to try and drill into his team is just be strong defense, and then the offense will come. And I think if you don't have those offensive guys that can score you like 40 goals, 35 goals a season. You've got guys there that can score goals, and if you can take the pressure off them by keeping the score down, I think you're in the same situation as most teams there. And I think Jeff is just going to be trying to drill into his team just to keep the puck out of the net, be really strong in their own zone, and then it'll come in the offensive zone.
Bit like Solway. I think this season they're going with a bit of a defense first, kind of concede a lot less goals, and maybe 3-4 goals on your side will be enough to get the 2 points. But yeah, ones to watch is then. Who wants to go first with that, Charlie?
Let me make my mind up. I was between two. So it's
Okay,
fine.
I'll go first then. And I'll go with I'll go with Alex Sanford. I think he's got an opportunity to come in and possibly on the top six. He had that 22 goal season with Bison when he played for the full season. And I think that season he kept scoring against Swindon as well. So if he can, if you're right, Dan, and he does play the full season, I can see him having a possible 15-20 goal season again. Dan?
I'm going to go with Marcus Bradley.
Okay.
I think he's a guy. It was out of Johnston and Bradley for me, but I think out of the two, I think he's got a bit of a higher ceiling. So I think he's going to come into this sort of team, and he's got an opportunity there to really show what he can do in a men's league. So yeah, I'm interested to see what Bradley can do and sort of how he can adapt using his size and sort of see what he can do in defence.
Nice one, Charlie.
Dan's answered my question for me. I'll go for Stanley Johnson. I'll go for someone. No, I like the look of Stanley Johnson, and I think he's got decent stats in the USPHL Premier. He's coming into a team where there's an opportunity to potentially get that top four spot. He's 21 years old, and I think it's a good age to come in. He's a bloke. He's not a child, or like a smaller build. He's got that kind of age on him, and I think he'll really enjoy the challenge and the opportunity. And I think he won't get loads of points. He won't be this crazy flashy defender, but I think he'll do the basics right, and he'll play a big role into building in Basingstoke this first year.
Yeah, I agree. I think those two they're going to be battling it out for a spot. You never know. Cathcart or Baird might hop onto that second line as well. But that completes the Bison episode. I don't think there's too much more to cover apart from that we're looking forward to getting back in that Bison rink. But yeah, if you haven't already, go check out all our other specials. We've got less than 2 weeks now till the preseason games. I mean, MK do actually play this Friday against Coventry. I might be going to that
Ooh.
actually, and see Coventry spank them. I'm joking, but we'll have to see. It'll be a good test for them. And yeah, then we've got the preseason games. So yeah, anything else, lads?
Nice to have Basingstoke back, you know. I
Yeah,
think so. I think it's cool to have them back. And yeah, I think if you're a Basingstoke fan watching, don't have your expectations crazy high, but just enjoy each game, enjoy every game, because I think the National League is, I'd say it's more competitive than when they were last in it. Especially
yeah,
this season, it looks like there's not going to be one bad team. I don't think there'll be a team which gets bullied at bottom of the league. Last year, obviously, you had Bees and Bristol, who were kind of the clear bottom two. I don't think it will be like that this year. So it's going to be a fun, competitive year, and bring the noise, bring the fans, and we'll see you on Friday, whatever date.
yeah.
Fifth,
Friday the 6th or
fifth,
5th. Fifth.
fifth. Yeah.
So exciting. We'll see you in the next episode, the next team special. We've got 3 more to do. I think it's Leeds, Sheffield, and Bristol. So we'll see you in the next one. Peace.